Welcome to this session on AWS monitoring and observability, where we will talk about delivering actionable insights using CloudBoss Logs. My name is Ashok Swaminathan, and I'm a principal product manager in the CloudBoss team with a focus on analytics. I'm excited to share with you some of the CloudBoss Logs capabilities that you can leverage to build a robust observability solution, drive actionable insights to troubleshoot your systems, and deliver the best customer experiences. In today's session, we will first go through some of the key capabilities of CloudBoss Logs and discuss how you can use it to enable insights and alerts, analyze the logs during troubleshooting, detect and protect your sensitive data, and build a holistic observability view using dashboards. We will then cover the recent enhancements in CloudBoss Logs and wrap up our session with a short demo. The foundation to observability is metrics, logs, and traces, which are equally important and are a key component to observability. Our session today will focus on logs. Let us take a quick look at some of the key capabilities of CloudBoss Logs. It is a fully managed service supporting exabyte scale log ingestion and storage. You can use CloudBoss Logs to move your logs, whether they are infrastructure logs, application log, service log, off of the host and store them in a secure and durable storage. You can set retention policies on the logs as per your organizational and regulatory requirements. Logs can also be used to create metrics. We will see this in a later slide and generate alarms. And most importantly, you can analyze the logs using queries for your troubleshooting needs. Let us take a look at some of the use cases relating to logs. Most common use of logs is for application troubleshooting to rapidly diagnose and resolve application issues by analyzing log data for error messages, slow response times, and other anomalies. Logs can also be used for infrastructure monitoring, where we want to analyze logs from various AWS services to identify resource usage patterns and detect bottlenecks and take corrective action. Security and compliance is another use case for logs. Users can utilize the log data to analyze it for potential security threats and maintain compliance by monitoring access patterns and user activities. And in addition to the other use cases, logs can also be used for business insights to gain insights into user behavior and application usage by analyzing log data for patterns, trends, and correlations. Let us now take a look at how CloudBoss Logs works. CloudBoss Logs is integrated with 50 plus AWS services, making it easy for you to collect your logs from these services. You can enable logging in these services that you want to collect logs from, and these logs are sent to CloudBoss for storage. You can also collect logs from your custom application, whether they are running on AWS or on-prem, using a variety of different agents. Once you have collected your logs, you can now use them in different ways. You can query them using Logs Insights, which is a query capability within CloudBoss Logs. You can extract metrics from your logs and alert on them. You can identify and analyze top contributors. You can detect and protect sensitive data, or extract your logs using CloudBoss APIs and build your own custom analytics. A bit about the terminology in CloudBoss Logs relating to log events, log streams, and log groups. A log event is a record of some activity recorded by the application or resource being monitored. The log event contains properties such as a timestamp of when the event occurred, the raw message, and is based on the service or application generating the log event. This example shows the raw log event from Apache in a structured logging format. You can store log events in JSON format to make it easy to use log analytics and to extract metrics from your logs. We will go in more detail about these later in our session. A log stream is a sequence of log events that share the same source. More specifically, a log stream is a sequence of events coming from the application instance or resource being monitored. Log groups define groups of log streams that share the same retention, monitoring, and access control settings. We saw a list of log events from an Apache log stream on a specific host, multiple such log streams can be contained within a single log group. By default, log groups are kept indefinitely and never expire. However, users can adjust the retention policy for each log group. Now that we have the logs in CloudWatch, let us see how we can operationalize them. You can operationalize logs in 4 broad areas. As logs are being ingested, you can enable insights and generate alerts from them. You can analyze the logs during troubleshooting and query them using insights, detect and ensure sensitive data in your log file is masked, and build a holistic view using dashboards by adding your log queries, alarms, and metrics to the dashboard. We will first cover enabling insights and generating alerts. There are 3 ways in which we can enable insights and alerts. We can graph on the metrics extracted from the logs and trigger alerts. We can identify the top contributors using contributor insights, and we can analyze high cardinality data by sending it as part of the log using embedded metric format. We will look at each of these, discuss their use cases, and how you can leverage them in the upcoming slides. So let's take an example where you need to be alerted if there are 5 login failures in a minute or if there are 400 errors in your logs. You can search and filter the log data coming into CloudWatch Logs by creating 1 or more metric filters. Metric filters define the terms and patterns to look for in the log data as it is sent to CloudWatch Logs. So in our case, we would search for the term login failure or patterns of the type 4XX and create a metric filter based on it. Once the metric filter has been created, CloudWatch Logs uses these metric filters to turn log data into CloudWatch metrics that you can graph on, or you can set an alarm on the data. The alarm can perform 1 or more actions based on the value of the metric or expression relative to a threshold over a number of time periods. The action can be sending a notification to Amazon SNS topic, or performing an Amazon EC2 action, or Amazon EC2 auto scaling, or creating an incident in Systems Manager. You can also trigger a Lambda function to automatically remediate the issue. Here's an example of a metric alarm. We have created an alarm based on the success rate by using the log to extract and create metrics based on success codes found in the log, as well as metrics relating to all relevant operations, and using these to compute the success rate, which is used in the alarm definition. In our case, if the success rate is below a threshold, then we send a notification. As we discussed before, various other actions could also have been taken, such as creating an incident in Systems Manager or creating a Lambda function to automatically remediate an issue. Another insight which you can derive from your logs is to understand who are the top contributors to either the traffic, errors, or API calls. Contributor insights, which is a capability of CloudWatch Logs, can be used for this purpose. It can be used to surface outliers and top blockers. We can do this by building rules from scratch or using predefined sample rules for specific AWS services, which you can use to analyze the logs as they are being ingested and use the rules to build the top-end analysis. Using contributor insights, you can identify which resources get the most network traffic or what are the top API calls so you can optimize them. Contributor Insights has out-of-the-box integration with DynamoDB, so you can use it to analyze most frequently accessed and throttled keys in your table and use it to optimize them. Here is an example of Contributor Insights use case as it pertains to the VPC flow logs. We have used an out-of-the-box rule to determine what are the top source and destination combinations and analyze traffic based on the source address and action, as well as what are the unique contributors. Contributor Insights evaluates patterns defined in the rules as log data is being ingested in CloudWatch Logs and builds the top-end analysis. Contributor Insights is also integrated with CloudWatch Metrics and you can use the metrics generated by CloudWatch Contributor Insights to create alarms. Now let us discuss analyzing high cardinality data. Let us take an example where you want to analyze and troubleshoot customer issues based on customer ID, the device type, and the error the device is generating. This is a typical scenario in situations where customers are aggregating telemetry data from millions of telco or IoT devices and require insights into their device performance and ability to quickly deep dive into unique telemetry that the devices report. Embedded metric format, or EMF, is an ideal for environments which generate high cardinality application data that can be part of the EMF logs without having to increase metric dimensions. This still allows customers to slice and dice the application by querying the embedded metric format logs through CloudWatch Logs Insights and CloudWatch Metrics Insights, a tool for querying metrics, without needing to put every attribute as a metric dimension. Customers can embed custom metrics alongside log event when publishing structured logs aligning with the EMF specification. CloudWatch automatically extracts the metrics so that customers can visualize and set alarm for real-time incident detection. The detailed log events and high cardinality context associated with the extracted metrics can be queried using CloudWatch Logs Insights to provide deep insights into the root cause of operational events. Here is an example of an embedded metric format log event. It contains two parts, the metric definition and the metric values along with the additional fields. In our example here, we have specified two metrics, requests as well as the processing latency. The additional fields which we have included in the log are message, customer name, as well as request ID. As the logs are ingested, they are processed and the metrics are extracted. We can use CloudWatch Logs Insights to query the logs using the customer name or request ID and correlate it with the associated metrics. What you can see here are the extracted metrics, the processing latency, and the requests that were specified in the logs. Now, let us take a look at how you can analyze your CloudWatch logs for troubleshooting. There are two scenarios we typically run into. You may get an alert and need to dig into the logs that were ingested either in the last few minutes, hours, or days. Sometimes we may need to go back in time and see if a similar problem has occurred. For security-related events, we may need to go back multi-month to check user actions, for example. The other scenario is where you may be developing and deploying a new configuration, making changes, troubleshooting a production incident, and you want to view and analyze the logs in real time as they are being generated. We will look at each of these scenarios in more detail in the upcoming slides. Let's start with Log Insights, which enables you to interactively query and analyze your log data in CloudWatch Logs. You can execute queries on data stored in CloudWatch Logs to help you more efficiently and effectively respond to operational issues. CloudWatch Logs Insights includes a purpose-built query language with powerful commands. CloudWatch Logs Insights provides sample queries, log field discovery, command descriptions, query auto-completion to help you get started. Sample queries are included for several types of AWS service logs. CloudWatch Logs Insights automatically discovers fields in logs from AWS services such as Amazon Route 53, AWS Lambda, AWS CloudTrail, and Amazon VPC, and any application or custom logs that emit events as JSON. The example here shows a sample query being used to visualize the number of exceptions in the PHP log across all the instances used to run the application and count the exceptions in 4-minute intervals. Some additional information about CloudWatch Logs capabilities. It is a pipelined query language with support for filtering computations and group by operations. It supports querying structured and unstructured logs. You can parse, extract, and analyze fields from unstructured logs using regular expressions. CloudWatch Logs query syntax supports arithmetic, Boolean, and comparison operators and functions to support statistical analysis, datetime functions, functions for processing IP addresses, strings, and more. Here are some query examples that you can execute in CloudWatch Logs. For example, you can do filtering based on calculated values. You can also do analysis using aggregates and statistical operations, or you can use binning so you can execute your statistical analysis on a time window. The other scenario is where you want to analyze your logs in real time for monitoring configuration changes, new deployments, and do diagnostics of production issues. With Livetail, you can view the logs as they are being generated. You simply need to select one or more log groups with the log streams to get started. You can apply filters to narrow down certain logs, such as logs creating error or other strings. Once you have completed that, you'll now be able to start streaming in your logs. Here is a screenshot showing the user experience. The raw events are filtered and streamed into the console. With this, now the user can start seeing the logs as they are being generated. You can type in terms that you want to highlight in the logs to make the diagnosis much easier. Now let us discuss how you can detect and protect sensitive data. As applications produce data, it becomes increasingly difficult to ensure that the logs comply with data privacy regulations and do not contain any sensitive data such as social security numbers, credit card details, email addresses, and passwords. Some of the use cases for sensitive data protection include ensuring no personal information is exposed and adhering to requirements in regulated industries. Today, customers take on the expense of building custom-built solution to manage data protection. So how does sensitive data protection work? You first create a policy to specify the data type you want to identify and protect. You can choose from over 100 managed data identifiers based on a repository of common sensitive data patterns spanning financial, health, and personal information. CloudWatch Logs leverages regular expressions and machine learning capabilities for detecting sensitive data. If sensitive data is discovered in the logs, it is masked. It is not visible in plain text in the logs and in any downstream systems that consume these logs. So, for example, a user querying the logs will only see the masked data. From the AWS Management Console, AWS CLI, or any third party, the sensitive data in the logs will appear masked. You can enable audit reports and send them to another log group, an Amazon S3 bucket or Amazon Kinesis Firehose. These reports contain a detailed log of data protection findings. You can also create an alarm around a generated metric relating to sensitive data detection. So here is how it would look like once you have created the policy. Any data that matches the policy would be masked and the field would not be visible to the user. Now let us see how you can build a holistic observability view using the dashboards. We discussed running queries on your log data, generating metrics from logs to track certain events, or finding top-end contributors. Each of these actions can be added to CloudWatch Logs dashboard, so you have a single centralized place to observe your environment. CloudWatch dashboards are customized home pages in the CloudWatch console that you can use to monitor your resources in a single view. They can be used to consolidate data from multiple sources. You can add CloudWatch Logs, query results, or visualizations as part of the dashboard. You can also use CloudWatch dashboards to create customized views of the metrics and alarms for your AWS resources. It provides a comprehensive, consolidated view of your application and infrastructure performance. Before we take a look at the demo, I wanted to touch on some of the key recent releases. Let's first start with cross-account observability. At reInvent 2022, we introduced Amazon CloudWatch Cross-Account Observability, a new capability to search, analyze, and correlate cross-account telemetry data stored in CloudWatch such as metrics, logs, and traces. You can now set up a central monitoring AWS account and connect your other accounts as sources. Then you can search and analyze logs across your applications to drill down into operational issues easily without duplicating your data. You can discover and visualize metrics from many accounts in a single place and create alarms that evaluate metrics belonging to other accounts. You can start with an aggregated cross-account view of your application to visually identify the resources exhibiting errors and dive deep into correlated traces, metrics, and logs to find the root cause. This seamless cross-account data access and navigation helps reduce the time and effort required to troubleshoot issues. We also have recently released Livetail. We covered this earlier. This is a capability that we released recently, and customers are excited about this. With regard to Logs Insights, as our customer environments have been growing, we have been increasing our Log Insight query quotas. So now you can query up to 50 log groups. With the increased concurrency of 30, we will be able to support higher number of concurrent queries. Also, customers will be able to run larger queries longer with timeouts of 60 minutes. With regard to metric extraction, we have made the embedded metric format easier for customers. They can also leverage it for sending and extracting high-resolution metrics and easily diagnose issues in the embedded metric format specifications. Finally, regarding contributor insights, customers heavily rely on contributor insight sample rules. We have extended sample rules to include support for WAF and CloudTrail, both of which are customer asks. Overall, an exciting set of recently released capabilities.
Now, let's take a quick tour of CloudWatch Logs. We will use the logs from the pet adoption site demo. This site enables users to browse and select a pet for adoption. It is architected using various AWS services, and we will be using the logs from those services, both the application as well as the service logs in our demo. We will have two short demos. First, we will start with a quick overview of CloudWatch Logs and highlight some of the query capabilities in Logs Insights. Next, we will look at Livetail, which provides capabilities for real-time analysis of logs. Let us take a look at CloudWatch Logs Insights, a query tool to interactively search and analyze your log data. You start by selecting one or more log groups. You can select up to 50 log groups. In our case, we have selected the pet list adoptions log group. In addition, you need to select the time frame you want to query along with the query text. Logs Insights provides sample queries for various AWS service logs such as Lambda, VPC flow logs, and others. You can use these queries as is or modify them to suit your needs. You can also use any previously saved queries as well. Logs Insights provides discovered fields for log groups that are in JSON format, such as the pet list adoptions, and you can use these fields to formulate your queries. Let us now take a look at a few queries so you can get a feel for what Logs Insights can provide. Let us start by running the default query. One of the benefits of CloudWatch Logs Insights is that it starts streaming the results as they are available without waiting for the entire query to complete, thereby enabling you to troubleshoot faster. Let us now look at a different query where we want to get the stats on completed adoptions over the past 1 hour in 5-minute intervals. Here we are using the filter command to find completed adoptions and using the parse command to extract fields and the stats command to calculate the number of pets that have been adopted in a 5-minute window. Running the query, we are able to see the completed adoptions over the past 1 hour in 5-minute intervals for the various pet types. We can also visualize the data and add it to a dashboard if needed. As we can see, puppies are in most demand at this adoption center. Let us now look at another query similar to the previous one, except that we want to group the results by the pet type and look at the 5-minute window. Here we are using the filter command to find the completed adoptions. and using the parse command to extract the fields and the stats command to calculate the number of pets that have been adopted, and using a group by operator on the pet type and aggregating it in over a 5-minute interval. Running the query, we can now see the results over the past 1 hour in 5-minute intervals but grouped by the pet type. We hope this gives you a feel for what you can do with Logs Insights. Let us now take a look at Livetail, which was released recently and provides real-time visibility into the logs as they're being generated. It is very simple to use. Let's say that based on the alert you received, you know the services involved, and therefore you want to start your investigation with the logs relating to them. In our case, we are going to select the pet site application as well as some of the easiest logs, namely pay for adoption as well as pet search, and then apply the filters. From the console, we can see the log groups that we selected, and the logs relating to these start streaming into the console. We can filter these log events by keyword. You can select a single keyword or you can select multiple keywords. In our case, we want to narrow down the focus to only the events relating to puppy, as we have had some issues relating to those operations and therefore want to look at the logs containing that keyword. In addition, if there are specific events in the log you want to watch for, you can use the highlighting functionality. In our case, we want to look at all logs that contain the word post in them. As you can see, logs containing the word post are being highlighted. Overall, a very simple to use and powerful capability for troubleshooting.
Now that we have seen how to deliver actionable insights using CloudWatch Logs and a brief demo of Log Insights and Livetail, let us summarize the key capabilities of CloudWatch Logs. CloudWatch Logs is a fully managed service for securely and scalably storing and analyzing log data. It provides support for analyzing and operationalizing logs. Using CloudWatch Logs, you can extract metrics from logs and alarm on them, identify the top-end contributors, query your logs for operational troubleshooting, analyze logs in real time with Livetail, detect and protect your sensitive data, and finally, provide a centralized view of your log queries and alarms in a centralized dashboard. Here are some additional resources that you can take advantage of that consist of the One Observability Workshop, Best Practices, Accelerator, as well as the AWS Observability Training course. Thank you very much